They told us that America was always the good guy, that our heroes were flawless, that history was a celebration of greatness. But James W. Loewen looked closer, and what he found was a carefully crafted illusion. His groundbreaking book, Lies My Teacher Told Me, didn't just correct the record. It exposed the system that deliberately lied to generations of students. Loewen spent 2 years analyzing 18 of the most widely used high school history textbooks in the United States. What he discovered was disturbing. These books were not written to teach truth. They were written to protect national pride. He writes, "Textbooks stifle meaning by suppressing causation. They obscure conflict and fail to present the viewpoints of dissenters and minorities. The result? A generation that knows the names of presidents, but not the struggles of people. A public that can recite wars, but can't explain why they were fought." One of Loewen's most powerful concepts is herification. He explains, "Herification is a degenerative process that makes people into heroes. It transforms real, complex individuals into bland figures without conflict, flaws, or controversy." Think about it. We learned Columbus was a brave explorer, not a brutal colonizer. Helen Keller was a symbol of perseverance, but were we ever told she was a radical socialist? Woodrow Wilson brought peace, but who told us he resegregated the federal government and praised the KKK? The truth is, these people were human, flawed, complex, and political. But textbooks strip that away because nuance doesn't serve nationalism. Let's talk about Columbus, the man who discovered America. Loewen writes, "Columbus not only sent enslaved Indians to Europe, he also started the transatlantic slave trade. He didn't just stumble upon the New World, he looted it. He enslaved and murdered indigenous people, and he recorded it himself. Yet students are told to celebrate Columbus Day, to honor a legacy built on blood. Why? Because the truth makes people uncomfortable." Loewen points out that textbooks rarely include the voices of Native Americans, Black Americans, poor people, immigrants, or dissenters. Instead, they present history through the lens of presidents, generals, and wealthy white men. He writes, "By downplaying social and economic conflict, textbooks leave students with no understanding why people protested, rebelled, or resisted. The civil rights movement becomes a single march. Slavery becomes a paragraph. Vietnam becomes a mistake, not a tragedy. And students, they grow up thinking the world was always this way, and that no one ever fought to change it." One of Loewen's most important chapters in his book deals with slavery and systemic racism. He explains that most textbooks treat slavery like a background detail, a side note. They avoid describing the violence, the economics, and the enduring legacy of slavery. Loewen writes, "Textbooks do not let students understand how racism came about, how it has changed over time, and how it continues to exist." Students are told racism ended with the Civil Rights Act, but Loewen shows us how it mutated into housing discrimination, voter suppression, and mass incarceration, topics most history books ignore entirely. Did you ever learn about Reconstruction after the Civil War? Probably not in any meaningful way. Loewen writes, Reconstruction is presented as a failure because of African Americans and their white allies, rather than because of violent white resistance. Students aren't told about the black politicians elected during Reconstruction, or how white supremacist groups overthrew their governments with violence. The truth is, America had a chance to build racial equality, and it was intentionally destroyed. That's not failure. That's sabotage. So why does Loewen care so much about textbooks? Because history shapes how we see the present. And if we learn a whitewashed past, we'll accept an unjust present. He writes, the antidote to feel-good history is not feel-bad history, but honest and inclusive history. Telling the truth about the past doesn't weaken us. It empowers us to ask questions, to hold leaders accountable, to think critically. The goal of history isn't to make us proud, it's to make us wise. Lies My Teacher Told Me isn't just a book, it's a wake-up call, a mirror held up to the stories we tell, and a reminder that truth doesn't come from textbooks, it comes from digging deeper. Loewen ends with a challenge. Students should be encouraged to dig into the past themselves, to question their textbooks, and to find the voices that were silenced. So now it's your turn. Read the truth, question what you were taught, and never accept the easy version of history, just because it's the one they gave you.